Hello students, welcome back to Akshar IT Foundation classes. I am your chemistry faculty S. Mohan. So 6th class, we started a last chapter of this IT Foundation of 6th class, and in that last chapter is the separation techniques, right? And in that we are completed the first synopsis in the last class, and in the last class we studied about the separation of mixtures, that is solid and solid. Okay, so how to separate the solid and solid, that part we are completed in the first synopsis. And in the second synopsis, this is the second synopsis. In the synopsis 2 we are going to learn about the two things. One is solid in liquid and the second one is liquid in liquid. Okay, so two things we are going to learn in this chapter, right students? So if you see solid in liquid, can you give some examples? Very simple example. Just you have a milk, so you don't drink the direct milk, right? In that you add some sugar and you mix it and you drink. So your sugar is what? Solid. Milk is liquid. So solid in liquid, this type of. Otherwise water mixed with the salt. So salt, just you add some salt in water, so that becomes the salt solution. So this is also solid in salt. So students, here when solid is mixed with the liquid, that can be separated in different ways. That depends on the nature of the solid and the nature of the liquid also. Okay, so the main important methods what we use to separate the solid in liquid, means solid in liquid, solid liquid mixtures, or first one sedimentation and decantation. So sedimentation and decantation is the first one, and the second one is a filtration, and the third one is evaporation. So see, a third one is evaporation, and the fourth one is a distillation. Can you see here? So fourth one is distillation. So these are the four methods: sedimentation and decantation, filtration, evaporation, and distillation. So these are the four methods we use to separate the solid in liquid. Okay, so here examples also given here. You see sedimentation. So where we use this sedimentation? So in the sedimentation, solid and a liquid, two substances are there. One is solid, second one is a liquid. So here one of the component is heavier than the liquid. One of the component is heavier than the liquid and is insoluble. So two conditions are there. The first condition is what? The solid should be heavier than the water, heavier, and second one is water, it should be insoluble, means what? Should not soluble in water, it should not dissolve in water. Example is what? Muddy water or water containing salt. So for example, if you take the water and in that add some soil or water and mix it, does it dissolve completely? No. Why? Yeah, whatever the sand particles are there, you know the sand particles are heavier than the water. So what happens? They get settled down. Yes or no? So first you mix it and you keep aside for some time. So without disturbing it, undisturbed. So what happens during that time? All the heavier particles like sand particles come down and they settle at the bottom. So just on filtration, means just on separating that water. Okay, just separating the water. So water get that separated and the sand particles or get separated. Yes or no? So that is one of the method, right? Now second one is what? Filtration. Filtration means what? Just filtering. For example, you see your mom prepare the tea. Yeah. Okay. Did you observe whenever your mom prepare the tea? Yeah. So how she prepare the tea? So she take the milk and add the tea powder and then sugar and she boil it. Right. After boiling, whether she serves directly? No, she filter it. Yes, on filtration what happens? All the tea powder particles which are there, that get separated and only tea comes out, right? So this tea will be distributed and this will be thrown away. So that's called filtration, right? So here this filtration can be used for what? Here also one of the component is solid and it is insoluble in liquid, right? So your tea powder is what? It is a solid and it do not dissolves in the tea like in the milk, right? So that get on filtration, that get separated. Okay, but here we are not using that one. In the chemistry we use like sodium chloride precipitate in water, barium sulfate, okay, precipitate in water, silver chloride and barium sulfate. Okay, so they are insoluble and they settle at the bottom. So on filtration, they come out. Evaporation means okay. So evaporation means what? Converting the liquid into gaseous state, right? You know how the salts manufacture salt from the sea, ocean, no? Okay, so what they do? They collect the seawater and they store seawater and then they make to evaporate. Due to sun rays, what happens is that only water get evaporated and the salt is left at bottom, right? So here what happens here, see, this is for soluble one. Here these two are insoluble. Can you see insoluble? But here you see one of the component is a solid and it is insoluble in liquid. No, this is little soluble in liquid actually. So here little wrong. So this is soluble in liquid. So common salt solution, the salt is dissolved in water, right? So this dissolve. So this salt solution becomes, and you keep outside in the summer, then what happens? This water get evaporated, only salt will be left over. Okay. And last and final one is what? Distillation. Distillation is also same. Okay. Is one of the component is soluble solid, other one is liquid. So here also on heating or boiling, then what happens? Liquid get evaporated and we can get the solid. So these are the 4 methods to separate the solid and liquid mixture. Solid and liquid mixture. Clear? Any doubt? Yes? Sure. Now, here in detail you can see now. Chalo students, here you see now here. This is about the sedimentation process. They explained here sedimentation process. The sedimentation process, so here they are taking the water and the sand. Okay, you take one beaker and then in that you take some water, then add some sand and stir it. So what you'll observe, okay, it looks like that mix, the sand will mix with the water, but it do not mix, right? Now what you do after that, keep aside without disturbing it. Okay, now we keep aside this solution without disturbing it. So what happens? The sand particles are heavier than water. So these all sand particles will be coming down and settling here. Can you see here? Okay, here they settle. And above this, only water is left. Okay, the clear water is left. Now this can be filtered now. So this can be filtered. On filtering, what happens? Only water gets separated and sand will get separated. So water will be coming here and sand will be left there. Is this clear? So this is about the sedimentation. So sedimentation definition is what? The process in which suspensions of insoluble fine particles. Suspension is what? Which are settling at the bottom due to their weight or heaviness. Okay, suspended in the liquid are allowed to stand undisturbed. So that is kept for undisturbed, such that the solid particles settle down, leaving the clear liquid above. This process is called sedimentation. Is this clear? Sedimentation. Now, in that sedimentation, here now what is the sediment? Here 2 words are there: sediment and supernet and liquid. So what is the sediment? The insoluble solid material which settles down is called as a sediment. So here the sand is getting settled down. So hence the sand is called as a sediment. Now whatever the clear liquid, okay, is left over here. Okay, this is a clear liquid is formed. So this is called supernatant liquid. Clear this one? Okay, so this is about the sedimentation and even decantation is also similar way. Decantation is also what? It's like a similar. So see here now, decantation. So same, the process of pouring out the clear supernatant of liquid. So now what we are doing here, that liquid we are pouring out. Okay. So above the sediment, whatever the liquid is left, that liquid we are separating then, thus the helping the separation of solid particles is called a decantation. So we are separating the solid particles from that solution. Okay. So this is called sedimentation. Okay, and decantation. So here what are the drawbacks of decantation? Decantation drawbacks is that. So here I said that for example, if you take the water, in that take some soil, okay, and add some, okay, sand, or add the sand, okay. Then what happens, all the sand particles will be settled at the bottom, right, and we can filter the water. But imagine that in that sand particles, when you are taking the sand, in that some lighter particle, dust particles are there, you think, then what happens? So all the dust will be float on the water only sand particles are going down. But along with the sand what we have taken, in that if it consists of any dust, so what happens, that dust will be float on the water. Now you can't separate, yes or no? Now if you separate the water, this lighter particles like dust particles are going along with the water. So now the water will not be separated purely, right? So this is a disadvantage of this one. So see now, here the concentration of mixture of solid and liquid do not get separated completely. Do not get separated completely. The concentration of solid is lighter than the liquid. See, if any lighter particles are there, then the sand or then the water, so they will be separated along with the water. They come along with the water, and this water consists of that lighter particles also. So that's what the decantation and sedimentation process cannot be used under all conditions. Clear? So that's about the now. Second one is what? Separation of filtration. Just now I told you, like how can you separate the tea powder from the tea? Now the same liquid. What I have taken here, the same water, sand. For example, you think the sand, water along with some dust particles also there which float on the water. Now what we do? We separate that water easily, and sand will be separated. Sand is separated because it's settled at the bottom. Now what we are separating the water, that water consists of again some dust particles, right? Now these dust particles can be separated by filtration. It can be separated by filtration. So that is the advantage of filtration, by separation of filtration. So see students, here now, filtration, the process of separation of insoluble solid constituent of a mixture from its liquid constituents by pushing through some porous material. Porous means what? Okay, porous means what? A small holes will be there. Okay, so did you see the filter, tea filter? So that filter, it consists of small fine holes. Through that fine holes, the liquid will be going through that, and dust particles will be left over. Okay. So filtrate means what? The clear solution obtained, liquid obtained after the mixture, that is called as a filtrate. Now, when you filter this water, the dust particles will be stopped by the filter, and the pure liquid is coming out, clear liquid. That clear liquid is called as a filtrate. Now, what is left, okay, on the filter, that is called as a residue. What is called as a residue? That's called as a residue. So understood now? So here, this type of method where we can use silver chloride and water. Here silver is a residue, water is separated. Barium sulfate and water. Here barium sulfate is residue, means that get stopped by the filter, and water will flow through the filter. Okay. Chalk and water. This chalk powder you have in the school, you will have a chalk pieces, no? So take the chalk, make it into some powder, and take some water in that, add and stir it. So what happens? It looks like that chalk powder is dissolving in water when you stir it. But after that, what you do? You keep aside without disturbing it. Okay, without disturbing it, undisturbed, you keep it for half an hour time. Then within half an hour, what you'll observe, all the chalk particles will be going settled down, right? And water is left over. Now on filtration, what happens? Only water will go through the filter, and the chalk powder is left over the filter, right? So this method is called a filtration. Clear? This is a filtration. So that's about the filtration, right? Now let's come to the next one. So this is about the filtration. So method, just now I explained you here, this is a filter paper. So we can take the funnel. Normally in the lab what they do? Normally in the lab what they do is, so they take the beaker. So see here now, so this is one beaker, right? In this beaker we are taking some water. This is a water, and this we are adding some chalk powder also, some chalk powder. We are adding some chalk powder also. Clear? Now after adding the chalk powder, what we are doing? Now we are keeping aside for some time without disturbing it. Then what we do? Then we take another beaker. Here another beaker. Now in this beaker, what we do? We take one fill, funnel like this. This is a funnel we keep here in this funnel. And in this funnel, what we do? We take one filter paper. The filter paper generally is available in the form of a circular paper. Okay, and that paper will be folded for 4 times, means 1, 2. Okay, and then it's opened and it's kept inside here. Okay, now this liquid is poured. On pouring the liquid, what happens? Only water comes down, and all the chalk powder will be left over. So this diagram, this is a diagram. See, this is a funnel, and this is a beaker, and this is a they're pouring the water. Okay, this method is explained here. So that is about the okay. What is this? This is about what? Filtration. Clear? Now, after filtration, what is there? Evaporation. Okay, now let's go to the evaporation. Separation of evaporation. So just now I told you that evaporation, what is evaporation? Evaporation is nothing but water get evaporated. For example, evaporation, see, there are 2 terms over there. The process of converting the liquid into gas. There are 2 processes. One is called evaporation, second one is called boiling. Boiling means what? For example, if you take the water, and this water, if you boil it, means you increase the temperature up to 100 degrees Celsius, then water starts boiling. And the water liquid is converting into the gas, right? So this is called as a boiling, you know that. Okay. But before, means below its boiling point also, that water will be converting into the gaseous state, vapor. This process is called as a evaporation. That process is called a evaporation. Okay. For example, simple method. You take one glass of water. Take one glass of water, however it is rainy or summer season. So pour some glass of water, okay, on the floor, right? And after some time, just outside, you pour the water and wait for some time. After some time, what happens? This all water get dry, means that the floor get dried. Why? This water get evaporated. Are you boiling this water? No, you are not boiling, but below its temperature, below its boiling point only, the water is converting into the gaseous state. This process is called evaporation. So boiling means what? The process in which the liquid is converted into gas at a particular temperature, like water 100 degrees Celsius. That's called boiling point. Evaporation means what? The process of conversion of liquid into gas, but below its boiling point. Below its boiling point is called evaporation. Okay. So that evaporation, like common salt and water. Just now we told you common salt and water. So what you do? Take one small beaker, in that take some water, little amount of water, then add salt also. Then add salt and stir it. Stir it. And this solution you take in one bowl. Take in one bowl and keep aside. Okay, this is summer, so you keep aside on the terrace of your home. Okay, terrace of your house. Okay, morning. And you'll observe that due to this heat, only water get evaporated. What happens? Water get evaporated. When you see in the evening, all water get evaporated, but salt will be left there. Salt will be left there. Okay, so nothing, you are doing nothing there. Just you are taking the salt water, and this water you are keeping under the sunlight at the terrace. Okay, then what happens? This due to heat, the sun heat, the water is getting, only water is getting evaporated, and salt will be left now. So this we can use for the common salt and water. So here non-volatile. Non-volatile means what? Which do not evaporate. Okay, which do not evaporate is called non-volatile. Which is volatile? Here water is volatile. Here water is evaporating. And similarly, sodium sulfate and water, carbon disulfide and water. If you take these all things mixtures, so here what happens? Only water will be getting evaporated, and the salt will be left over. So this is separation by evaporation. Clear? Separation by evaporation. Any doubt? Okay. Now then come to the last and final one, that is see, this is evaporation method they are given here. Here they are given in different method. Okay, no problem. So here what you do, you take one China dish. This is called a China dish. Okay, this is called China dish. This is a China dish, right? Now in this China dish, what they are doing? They are taking some salt water. This is salt water, and they are not directly heating. So here what you see here, you can see the sand bath is there. Sand bath. Sand bath means what? They are taking some sand and heating the sand. Okay, and above the sand they are putting this salt water. Okay, so what happens when the salt is getting heated? Heat is reaching to the China dish. So in this only water, due to that heat, the only water get evaporated, and finally only the salt is left here. Okay, so here we are separating the water and salt by which process? Evaporation process. By which process? Evaporation process. So this is called evaporation. Clear? So this is the evaporation process. So see, the same thing is given here. Now last and final one is what? The separation by distillation. So the separation by distillation. So distillation means what? Here what happens? The liquid get boiled here. So liquid will be evaporated and then it will be condensed. Condensation means what? The process of converting the gas into liquid is called a condensation, right? So here you see the process of conversion of liquid into gaseous state on boiling. Then recondensing, and what? Recondensing what? They are cooling again. On cooling, that gas will be converting again into the liquid. For example, if we take water, okay. So here generally, okay, here you can see here. Okay, what example they are given? Let's see now. So here also they are given like distillation also, salt and water, right? Iodine and methyl alcohol, iodine and chloroform. Okay. So here if you take the sand and water, now see, this is called as a distillation flask. This one, see, can you see a round flask? So this round flask is called as a distillation flask. Okay. Now in this distillation flask we are taking the salt solution. What you are taking? Salt solution we are taking, right? And now here we keep that a rubber cork, okay, in which we put the thermometer, okay, and then we heat it. And here see one like delivery tube, like is there, see, this is a delivery tube and it is connected to the condenser. Okay, this is connected to the condenser. What is called a condenser? Condenser means what? Here through this here cool water is passed here. Okay, so then what happens here? On boiling, only water get evaporated. This boiling water will come here in the form of vapors, and these vapors are sent into the condenser, and the condenser, what happens? The water get cooled, and this water again it is converted into the liquid. So here we can separate the liquid, right? So what is the difference between the evaporation and distillation? Means in the evaporation, what I said, you take the salt and water and keep on your terrace morning, and when you come evening, only you can find water, salt. Then what about the water? Water get evaporated, right? Can you take the water that again? No. Here in this process, what we are doing? So we are getting the water also. Here we are getting the distilled water we are getting, and we are getting the salt here. Okay, two things we are getting. If you just for evaporation, if you keep outside, what happens? Water get evaporated. That goes into the atmosphere. You cannot collect it. Only you can collect what? Sand. Okay, but you want both the things to be separated and want both the things to be collected. In such cases, what you do? Use the distillation method. Clear? So this is about the distillation method. Okay, so these are the methods to separate, okay, the solid and the liquid mixtures. These are the methods of what? To separate the solid and the liquid mixtures. Any doubt till here? No. So the same method they explained here. Here one more is also there called as a centrifugation. Centrifugation means what? The process of separating the heavier mass particles from the lower mass particles in a given mixture is called centrifugation. The process of separating the heavier mass particles from the lower mass particles in a given mixture. One mixture is there, it consists of two substances. One is heavier mass and second is lower mass. If you want to separate them, then we use the machines called centrifugers. Okay, centrifuges we use, and the process is called centrifugation. Okay, by using the centrifugation, generally what we do is the blood samples. Okay, the blood samples, so in the blood samples, the components of the blood will be separated by the centrifuges. And if you think that it's not possible, sir, to check these all means what, then you have a washing machine in your home. Yes, so in the washing machine also, after washing the clothes get dried, right? So the washing machine consists of a cylindrical drum, and these drums have the holes, they have the holes. Now what they do, okay, we put it, the wet clothes, or put it inside, and we switch on, then what happens, drum rotates. When drum rotates, all the water particles will be thrown away. All the water particles will be thrown away from the holes, and the clothes get dried. So this is also an example for the centrifugation. This is an example for what? Centrifugation. So on rotation. And separation of butter from buttermilk also. Okay, churner, so put the churner and rotate. On rotating, what happens? All the heavier mass particles and lower mass particles. Means what? Buttermilk, when we take the curd and mix with the water, that consists of two things. One is buttermilk, second is butter. Can you separate now? Normally, no. But by using churner, okay, you can separate the butter and the buttermilk, okay, from the curd, So that is also centrifugation. So by rotating, okay. So centrifuges consist of by rotation. Here the method of separating finely suspended particles of liquid by rilling. Rilling means what? Rotating. Okay. The liquid at very high temperature is called centrifugation. So this is called centrifugation. And in the centrifugation, what we can see here, the centrifugation is carried out in a machine called a centrifuge. Okay. So see, blood and other biological samples are separated. Okay. At home, what we can separate? Washing machines here. In the washing machines also, to squeeze wet water from the wet clothes. So this is also we can use. Okay, students. So here with this, the separation of a solid and liquid is finished. Now this is liquid in liquid. Okay. So solid and liquid will be separated by how many methods? One is called sedimentation, decantation. Second one is called filtration. Third one is called evaporation. Fourth one is called distillation. Fifth one is called centrifugation. So these are the 5 methods by which we can separate the solid liquid mixtures. Okay. Once go through this one, if you have any, once go through this one. So students, now take the material. In the material, once if you open the page number 77, right? So from the page number 77, okay, to today what we discussed up to only 83. Okay. So till here, these all are the methods to separate the solid and the liquid mixtures. Okay. And one more last topic will be there, that is separation of liquids and liquids. And then we have some practice questions. So with this, your 6th class IIT foundation will be completed, right? So once you check your material after this, after completing this one, and if any topics are left, if you feel anything you didn't reach to you, so then you just intimate us so that we send that topic. Clear? So bye, take care.